The town of Millhaven was the kind of place where everybody knew your name. Small streets lined with weathered storefronts, a single diner that served as the town's beating heart, a place where nothing ever happened until Lacey Monroe vanished. Without a trace, she wasn't famous, she wasn't rich, just a 19-year-old girl trying to find her way in a town that offered little in return. But when she failed to show up for her shift at Daisy's Market, her boss called her mother called the police. And just like that, Millhaven changed forever. At first, the sheriff's office treated it like a runaway. Lacey was young, restless. Maybe she took off looking for something better. But her mother, Deborah, swore up and down Lacey wasn't like that. She had a life here, a job, friends, a boyfriend. And besides, her purse, her phone, and her car were still at home. Whatever happened to Lacey, she hadn't left willingly. 3 days in, and people were getting nervous. Flyers with her face stapled to every light pole, search parties forming, neighbors whispering about who might have seen what, but there were no signs, no struggle, no forced entry, just an empty space where Lacey should have been. Then a break came. An old man walking his dog found something by the lake, a sandal lying half buried in the dirt matching the pair Lacey wore the day she disappeared. Suddenly, this wasn't a missing persons case anymore, it was something worse. The sheriff's department combed the area, but found no body, no sign of where she had gone, no evidence of a struggle. And then rumors started, people talking in hushed voices about Lacey's personal life, about the things nobody wanted to say out loud at first, just whispers, that she had secrets, things she never told her family, things that could have put her in danger. The investigation shifted from searching for a missing girl to digging into who she really was, and the deeper they went, the darker it got. They started with her boyfriend, Ryan Tate, small-town mechanic, clean record, deeply in love with Lacey, or so everyone thought. He was the last one to see her alive, said they had a quiet night watching movies, said she left his place around 11, walked home, like she always did, but there was something off about him, the way he talked about her, past tense too soon, the way he avoided eye contact. But Ryan swore he had nothing to do with it, and for a while they believed him until they found Lacey's diary tucked under her mattress, pages full of words that painted a different picture of their relationship, one marked by controlled jealousy, fights that left bruises hidden beneath long sleeves. Ryan wasn't who he pretended to be. Then another name surfaced, Daniel Croft, the sheriff's deputy, the one helping lead the investigation. Someone saw Lacey arguing with him outside the market a week before she disappeared. Her voice raised, his hand on her arm, just for a second, just enough to make people wonder. Daniel had always been a little too interested in Lacey, always a little too friendly. And when they checked his phone records, they found late-night calls to Lacey's number, calls that had never been reported. The town began to turn on itself, whispers becoming accusations, friends turning to suspects. And then came the biggest twist of all, security footage from an ATM 2 blocks from Lacey's house, time-stamped 11:27 p.m. the night she disappeared. The grainy image showed a figure walking alone in the distance, Lacey's build, Lacey's clothes. But what sent chills down everyone's spine was the shadow behind her, someone following, just out of reach, someone they couldn't quite make out, someone the town had overlooked all along. The investigation had gone in circles, suspects piling up, secrets unraveling, and yet Lacey was still gone. The lake had given them nothing. Ryan had lied, Daniel had hidden things, but none of them explained where she was or who had taken her. The sheriff watched that ATM footage over and over, trying to make sense of the shadow, trying to recognize the shape, trying to figure out what they had missed. And then he saw it, a detail so small no one had noticed before, something that changed everything. A reflection in the glass, just for a split second, but enough to see the truth, enough to realize the person following Lacey wasn't a stranger. It was someone she knew, someone they all knew, someone still walking free in Millhaven. The reflection in the glass was blurry but undeniable, a face just clear enough for the sheriff to recognize, not a stranger, not some drifter passing through, but someone rooted in Millhaven, someone people trusted, someone no one had even considered until now. The weight of that realization settled heavy in his chest, because if he was right, Lacey Monroe hadn't been taken by a monster lurking in the dark. She had been taken by someone who walked among them every day, unnoticed, unsuspected, hidden in plain sight. The sheriff didn't say anything at first. He needed proof, real proof, something undeniable, before he pointed fingers. So he kept watching the footage frame by frame, tracking every detail of that moment, the way Lacey walked fast like she knew she was being followed, the way the shadow behind her hesitated just for a second before taking a step closer. But there was something else, something chilling, that sent a shiver through his spine. Lacey didn't scream, she didn't run, because she wasn't afraid not. At first, not until it was too late. With this new lead, the investigation took a sharp turn, no longer grasping at shadows, no longer chasing dead, and they started digging into the person in the reflection, their past, their movements, their connection to Lacey, and piece by piece a disturbing truth began to form, a truth that threatened to tear Millhaven apart. Then a second break came. A woman named Sarah Willis came forward. She worked at the diner, had known Lacey since she was a kid. She was nervous, hesitant, like she was afraid to talk. But when she finally did, her words changed everything. She said she had seen Lacey arguing with someone the night before she disappeared. Not Ryan, not Daniel, but someone else, someone unexpected, the last person anyone would suspect. She hadn't thought much of it at the time, just another small-town argument, but now it meant everything. The sheriff pressed for more details. What was the argument about? What did Lacey say? But Sarah only shook her head, said she couldn't hear, just saw Lacey looking scared, upset, pushing the person away before storming off. And that's when the sheriff knew he had to act. No more waiting, no more hesitating. Because if they were right, if the person in that reflection was who they thought it was, then they weren't just dealing with a disappearance, they were dealing with a cover-up. The town was holding its breath, waiting for answers, waiting for justice, while the sheriff prepared to knock on a door that shouldn't have needed knocking on, while he braced himself to accuse someone no one wanted to believe was capable. But deep down he already knew what he would find, because Lacey Monroe hadn't just disappeared, she had been silenced, and the truth was about to come crashing down on Millhaven like a storm. And when that door finally opened, when the sheriff locked eyes with the person on the other side, he knew he wasn't wrong, because standing there calm, composed, not a trace of guilt, was the last person anyone would suspect, the last person Lacey should have feared, the one secret she never wrote down, the one shadow she never outran, the person who had been hiding in plain sight all along. And that person just smiled and said, "Sheriff, we need to talk." Click the like and subscribe button for part 2.